Hey guys, thanks for checking out the stream. Two things that I'll have you take away from this trading situation. One, that you don't need to trade huge contracts to get pretty good sized profits. We're only trading two micros of MNQ, and then you have to commit to a position. You can see here that it almost kisses our stop, but you just can't touch it, and you never know what'll happen. So enjoy.
Can have a defined area where you're thinking about ceilings and floors, especially if you're thinking that a ceiling is outside of the Bollinger Bands. You can go with that. Wow. Well, that is stretching outside the Bollinger Bands and has some good momentum behind it. And always in the last 15 minutes of the market before the 4 p.m. Eastern time, there's always a lot of activity. So it's possible that it goes down another 87, but not a guarantee by any means. So you can kind of see how you may want to play it. It's definitely not, well, there's some hesitation there. I always look at how does it reflect on some of the other points? Like, is that particular price seeing some resistance? So there seems like there's some resistance around the 75 or 575 or 600. But I still like the short on this, really. And there's going to be always a lot of retracing back to the moving average. So if you look at these wicks, these are 30-second wicks. They're all going to be, let's see, 30, 530. So, they're 20-point wicks. So in 30 seconds, you're going to see 20 points up and down. So it may get to where you want to get it to, but it's just going to take a little bit of time. And minus a major announcement or something crazy happens, you'll incrementally get there, but it'll not be a straightforward path. So you can think a little bit more about what you want to do with your trade. If there's a possibility that you get there. Um, and it could at the same time rip back too. So I don't know. I think that you just have to judge your level of commitment to a trading position and know that the futures market is a lot of market makers pushing things up and down to get their positions safely covered. And it's not a straightforward process as it might be in crypto futures or other markets, minus some black swan events here and there. But this definitely is looking pretty solid on the short side. It's very possible that it could get there. So never really know. I mean, I still have 10 minutes to go. Always 10 minutes. So always at 3:50, there's a lot of activity. Because I think I read that the mutual funds are doing a lot of their settlement 10 minutes exactly before. So this could rip back up. This could really dump down. Um, it's kind of interesting. I think, man, there's some locked in some profits here pretty good. So let's see. Are we still within that 20-point area, 54 to 84? So even less than that. I'm going to guess it'll trace back to here, but then could potentially go back on its downward cycle because we're looking at how did it do here? Flat point. This was a good jumping off point. There's some resistance right at 56. But there again, right on cue. The 10 minutes, it just took a huge dump. which sometimes that's positions that they know they want to go higher, so they close all of the people that want long positions so they can be the only ones, and then they push it all the way back. So that was a large position right now. We went from 55, so it was at 80 points just in that minute. So a lot of activity going on. So it could go all the way back, or it could just get wrecked at the stop money buy, which it looks like it's going to rip up and catch that stop money buy. But you never know. There's a lot of volatility here. Still 10 minutes, actually more like 20 minutes to go. But I'm a little worried because when it hits that 650 price point, some people are going to want to think of that as a floor and it may continue to rip up. Whew, that was really close. So potentially that's more of a ceiling than a floor. So 664. Yeah, now it's retracing back to where I had originally opened the trade, but with a movement in 2 minutes going from 662 to 555, you're going to see some volatility in these next few minutes too. It could go all the way back and push through the moving average. Let's see, I was looking with the 1 minute. Yeah, so same sort of deal applies. I just like the 30-second because I get a more of a clear picture into what's actually happening. Yeah, at this point, I think it will go past the 668, but you never know. This is starting to uptick, which some of the long traders get excited about, but this potentially is also looking like a ceiling. So will the ceiling be tested or will it be respected? It looks like it's being respected to a certain degree, but it could dump down or it could leap up while it's just testing levels. So I still think that it'll get breached, but neither if it doesn't, then the likelihood of it getting down to 500, I think, is relatively low. Um, but you never know. I think someone asked me what are the main things I look for. See, that's more reliable to be able to determine what a ceiling is than a floor because a floor is going to get breached time and again as it goes up. So, like, even in this situation, you had floor, 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 and then you had a ceiling. You had even this ceiling. So, you're getting less activity on the ceilings. Ooh, caught a nice downward there. So, pushing past the moving average. It's thinking about it, and it looks like it kissed past it. So, it's showing that it's relatively Swiss cheese. Um, so, that looks good. That it's potentially going to bounce back, but it may respect that level and keep ripping down. So, what you, of course, want to do, and what most traders are trying to do, is to find this floor and then have it rip up. But I would conclude or contend that, based on my experience, you really want the ceiling more so than the floor, because the ceiling really will be respected more. And it doesn't have to be like the days long ceiling, but let's see. So, like on this floor, so we got one, breach two, breach three, and then it was good. But here, yeah, I mean, it's just so hard to pick those floors because everyone's looking for them. But the ceilings are a little bit better because people, when they're acting in fear or greed, they're in a higher emotional state here, more so than the value people that are here. And so, oh well. So we're getting some retrace. It's a possibility that because there's 5 minutes left, that I noticed there's been a lot of up movements, yeah, just before markets start to close. But careful, it could be the opposite of what we experienced here, where they went lower, 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 then went higher. So looks like that's what's happening a little bit. It went way high and then it's tracing right back down. So let's see what it can do here. Five, I mean, it's a full 100 up there. So even if it went, see, this was like 640 down to 550, so like 90 points, it's possible. I'll close the position, whatever it is, in 10 minutes. But yeah, I would be surprised if it went from 80 down to 96 or if it did an 80 point drop in that amount of time. Usually these positions are just sort of consolidating minus the 10 minutes before 4 Eastern time. So I don't really know. Could be there. It's definitely a lot of consolidating here. So when it doesn't move that much, you know pretty soon it's going to move up or down very aggressively. It's testing up. That's still quite a bit less than the usual movement in a 30-second candle. I mean, it's under the standard moving average, which is a bearish situation. So before it tests it, it likely is to go down a little bit to respect it. Most of the traders are trading with wherever it's going. And so it was already on a downward trajectory, and then a lot of the mutual funds and things closed out their positions, and then it continued on that. So I guess that's indicative of the rebalancing of a lot of these mutual funds as they're accumulating positions or doing a buy, or it could be any number of reasons. But if the trajectory is to be continued, then it should orient down, which was here, and then so it's been kind of a choppy day after a few pretty choppy weeks, but the overall trend has been sort of all over the place. It ripped up and then it's continually going down slowly. So not 100% whether it's going to respect that. This always makes me nervous when there's a little bit of a tick up from the here because people are seeing that and they're also seeing this movement that it could um, reach up substantially. And this is at round numbers like 600. See how it just jumped up from 600 to 602. That's really what get traders excited, and especially once you go north of the standard moving average, which for the 30 seconds, not too far off from the minute. The minute's sort of the standard. So I like to look to that a little bit more aggressively. So let's see how it does when it gets here. I'm going to guess that it's going to respect the 614 and go down a little bit. So went above it, but it sort of rejected. I like this sort of aggressive cadence because this is a traditional ceiling type of look to it. And then it pushes the moving average down. So if this went down to here, I feel good about there a little bit of a reversal and a possibility that it gets there in 5 minutes or in 6 minutes. But you never know. There, it's definitely getting some movement lower. So it hit that. Now it's going to kiss the Bollinger Bonds. Um, and then, wow, this is definitely dumping. Does it continue to go down on that candle? Does it reverse up? Wow, so it just went 620 all the way down to about 525, and it's continuing to go down. So that was a pretty aggressive move. Usually in this situation, a lot of traders are going to start to load up because they know there's going to be a reversal back to the standard moving average, but you can't really indicate how long that'll take. There's a successful trade right there. Boom. I'm happy with that and appreciate you all checking out the show.